Okay, the New England Colonies. Let me write New England Colonies. Hopefully that doesn't get cut off. The New England Colonies. Now we're talking about, what areas are we talking about? We're talking about Massachusetts. Talking about Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. Okay? Those are the ones we're talking about. Right here on our map, New Hampshire. Vermont came later. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. The New England Colonies. Right? Now, the New England Colonies, they stem mainly from the Pilgrims and from the Puritans. The Pilgrims, as I said, they landed out here on Plymouth Rock. Okay? They were Separatists, and that they wanted to separate from the Church of England. Now, this group included, and you might get asked about names, so I'm going to include some names, right, as I talk about this. It's on your review sheet, all this stuff. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it is on your review sheets. Hopefully you've printed that out and you're reading that, checking that out. If you haven't, you ought to do that. It will help you study. William Bradford, he was a Pilgrim. He became governor of Plymouth Colony. Okay, so there's two groups here. There's the Pilgrims and the Puritans. The Pilgrims, that was William Bradford. They're on the coast, Cape Cod. Okay. The Puritans, that's another religious group, fairly similar, right? Really pretty similar. They were looking for opportunity, religious people looking for opportunity. They were led by John Winthrop. And they were in Boston. They settled in Boston, right? But back to, sorry, I skipped ahead. The Pilgrims, that was the first Thanksgiving. You know, elementary schools do that all the time. First Thanksgiving with the Wampanoag, if I said that correctly. Indians, they signed the Mayflower Compact. The Pilgrims did, the Mayflower Compact. Okay, and the Puritans, they settled Boston, established Boston, 1630. Boston, the Massachusetts Bay Company. Now, eventually, the Massachusetts Bay Company combined with Pilgrim, with Plymouth, right? Massachusetts Bay Companies in Boston, with Plymouth Colony, and eventually all came together, and it was known as Massachusetts. Okay, Massachusetts at the time also included Maine. All right, Maine became a separate state later on. Now, religion was central, which makes sense. Two religious groups founded here in Massachusetts. They founded the colony here, created Massachusetts. Only church members could vote in Massachusetts. And the government and the church, the Puritans, because the Pilgrims got kind of swallowed by the Puritans. The government and the church was closely linked, of course. Right? Closely linked, as I just said. Only church members could vote. Now, the other New England colonies, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, they were extensions of Massachusetts. So the New England colony started here in Massachusetts, and then the others extended out. Okay, Connecticut was founded by Thomas Hooker, a man named Thomas Hooker, and his government was a little bit more, it's Connecticut, Massachusetts, Connecticut. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just to the south. It was more democratic. Okay, non-church members were allowed to vote. Right? Rhode Island was founded by Roger Williams and Anne Hutchinson. Roger Williams believed in religious tolerance for all citizens, and he separated the church and the state, and that the church in Boston was too restrictive. That's what Roger Williams thought. Anne Hutchinson believed that women should have a greater role in the church. And New Hampshire, that's to the north of Massachusetts. It was not founded for religious reasons. There were some explorers from Massachusetts that founded New Hampshire, but all the others were Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. What else do we need to know? We need to know about the population. It was small at first, but then it became large. There was a lot of manufacturing up here. Okay, eventually manufacturing, eventually shipbuilding. There was there's fishing. Not a big reliance on slaves. Well, why was that? Because the weather was cold It had short growing seasons, all right? Short, mild summers, cold winters. Soil was pretty rocky. Had family farms, small farming, a lot of subsistence farming. And there was a lot of rivers up here, a lot of rivers. And the rivers provided power to run factories. And that's going to be an issue later on when the first factories actually are in New England or in Massachusetts. And that's all you need to know about the New England colonies. Next one's going to be the Middle colonies.